I like the little bing. Hello.
Hello.
We're back.
I'm Heather.
I'm Kim.
And this is session 3 of the PTA Learning Series. And this time we're focusing on transformative family engagement and the PTA.
Whoop, whoop.
So session 1, if you missed it, go back and watch it. It was about what is transformative family engagement. And session 2 was about why is it important and what are the barriers to achieving it. So
now we're going to connect transformative family engagement with PTA. So let's get the slideshow going. Oh,
it's okay.
We'll go back. There's slide 1. Transformative family engagement and PTA. Hot diggity dog. So our goal today is what we're going to do is connect transformative family engagement, what we've talked about in the last 2 sessions, with your PTA. And I have to warn you up front, you're going to be a little bit more active in this one. So make sure you click on to the link for the workbook and reflection piece for session 3.
So as a reminder, here is the definition of transformative family engagement. So remember, it's a shared effort for families, schools, and community leaders, and it advances programs and policies that empower every parent to make their child's potential a reality. I think it's just important to remember that as we go into the activity for this session.
Right, and also as a reminder, the difference between involvement and engagement. We're not looking for just attendance, we're looking for participation. We're not having parents listen, we're having people speaking and engaged. The parents or the family members aren't being a supportive player, they're not supporting, they're actively and they're engaged. Curriculum is not just the school's job, it's also part of the awareness of that is part of the parent's job. And parents are involved in policies, not just letting the district do that on their own. And again, we just wanted to review that quickly because we're about to start a fun activity.
Okay, so first I want you to jot down one thing that you can think of that your PTA or your school does to engage families.
And Heather and I will go through this first. And then we're going to have you pause and you're going to do that in your workbook.
Yep. So we spent a lot of time doing this activity ourselves. And so we're going to give you an example to follow along with. And our example of a PTA initiative is family game night. So I think we can all envision what this might be. In our case, we're going to define it as an annual event for the middle school in the winter. Probably on a Friday evening where families come together to play games and have snacks and win prizes, of course, because we always have that, and just socialize with each other. So that is our example of a PTA initiative that we do to engage families.
So what you want to do is you want to pause your video right now and write down your PTA initiative that you do in your school. And write down kind of the key components of what you're doing. I would say it doesn't matter if you're like a PTA council rep, and this isn't your job to do events. As a PTA, focus on what you're doing for the whole with the whole event. I guess what I'm saying is this may not be directly related to your position in PTA. Just think of what your PTA has done in the past.
Right. And it also doesn't have to be an event, quote unquote. It could be something you do creative at meetings or something that you do in coordination with your school. So
Or like the Scholastic Book Club.
Yeah,
that could be a thing.
Yeah, just the sky's the limit.
Yep. So pause away. All right, welcome back. I hope you got your idea back on. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put all these initiatives this initiative that you came up with, and we're going to put it through our funnel. And so we're going to talk to you about the 4 I's of transformative family engagement. And this is a model that's been developed by the Center for Family Engagement, which, as we've already talked about, is a national PTA initiative. And so what you're going to want is you're going to take the event and you're going to want it to be more inclusive, more individualized, more integrated, and have more of an impact. And so that will raise your level of family engagement for that activity.
We're going to walk you through these one by one.
The first one is
inclusive. So this really speaks to the feeling that I am valued and my point of view matters, right? So 3 sort of aspects of being inclusive would be intentional relationship building. So, when you go to a PTA meeting, does somebody hand out name tags? Do they do introductions? Does someone come up and meet you?
Do you have a greeter at the door? Is someone assigned to make sure everybody feels welcomed?
Right. So those are just a few examples of intentional relationship building. But that's an important component, right? And we all can probably understand that we would feel more included if that was happening for us. The second thing is inviting diverse perspectives. So it's hard to obtain diverse perspectives if you don't ask for diverse perspectives. So it's not always just going to fall in your lap like, oh, this is a diverse perspective. So I think we have to remember that we have to ask for that. So we have to talk to other people. We have to talk to people who are outside of the PTA, people who are in other PTAs, families that maybe aren't as engaged, and families that are.
And I would also say when somebody brings up an idea that seems like, no, we've tried that before and it won't work, instead of shutting it down with, we've tried that before, it won't work, be curious about what they mean. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times it's just about using curiosity and wondering what the other person means when they come up with a different idea, a different perspective.
Right. And questioning assumptions, this is really focusing on realizing what your routine typically is. So I think as PTAs, we generally have a routine that we follow. We have planning sessions in the summer. We have a particular calendar year of events that we're used to doing, has been successful in the past. And so we follow those routines. We have a certain way PTA meetings run, and that sort of thing. What we're saying is to be more inclusive is you have to question some of those assumptions. Do we really need to do it like this? Who are we leaving out if we do it like this? Have we considered this other perspective? Maybe does it have to be this way? Why did it start this way? So I think when you ask yourselves those questions about things that typically are routine for you, that you're going to find yourself in a position where you're being just inherently more inclusive.
All right. So now we're going to take our event, the family game night, and we're going to just identify one way that we can improve this and make it more inclusive. And so Heather and I talked about a lot of different things, and you can read there what we put. We decided that we're going to have participants wear name tags. And not only will the name tag have the person's name on it, but they'll have the name of their children or the name of their parents if they're a child and what grades they are in, which would then allow people to connect in a way without even, you don't have to ask what their name is or where their child is. It'll be right there, and it allows for easier conversations among people that you don't know. And so that was one thing. But we talked about some other ideas about maybe we'd question about why we're having this family game night, and is there a different way we can do this family game night? We talked about maybe we'll bring in games from different cultures or different activity or different games than what we've typically done that would be different from the past, just to invite others into it. And so there was a lot of different ways that you could do this, but we chose, and all we're asking is for you to choose one way that you could improve the family engagement by being more inclusive. And so I'm going to go ahead and have you pause this and go ahead and fill out yours. All right, welcome back. So the next funnel that we're going to put through is individualized.
Yeah, so this is really where it starts to drive down into, how is this event about me? How is it relevant to me and my child? How does it help me with my child? So, in this circle, you're going to see one way to make it individualized is personal invitations, right? So obviously anything that you can do to strategize on how to personally invite people to events, whether it be coming home from the teacher, maybe you can engage the teacher and have notes written for maybe the kids themselves, do a piece of artwork and they send something home that says, hey, I want to go to this event, mom and dad, or grandma and grandpa.
I guess one thing to add is that personal invitations, handwritten or something like that, is great too, but there's also ways to personalize social media invitations by tagging people in them and encouraging your board to go out and find 10 people to tag in them into the event invitation so that it's personal to them. So there's a lot of different ways to do that.
That's right. And for tailored experiences, so it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's a quality over quantity. So how can we take an event and really tailor it to what will be relevant to our families? And so sometimes that might mean looking at having an all-school event to maybe having an event just for a particular team or a particular grade or a particular subset of students. So something, something that might make people more apt to attend or participate because they feel like it's tailored to them. And lastly is being responsive. I think that one of the ways to show that you're paying attention to individuals is to be responsive. So when you get feedback, is letting people know that you've received their feedback, letting them know that how you might weave their feedback into your next event, so that they feel like they're being heard and that they can see that change is happening. I think that will really go a long way to encouraging people to be engaged and involved.
That's great. So we're going to take your PTA initiative that you're doing and you're going to put it through the individualized funnel. And so what is one thing that you could do to make this event more engaged, have more engagement for families? And so as you can see here, we decided, so the family game night that we used to have at the middle school was in a big cafeteria, and it was a large room and everyone was in the same place and we were all playing the same games. So instead we decided to have some more tailored experiences, and we are going to break these into different categories of games and have them in different locations. So we're going to have some strategy games in one area, team building games in another area, puzzle and logic games in yet another area, word games and trivia. You get the picture. We're going to break it down into areas where people can travel from experience to experience and still with their family have a fun game night. We thought of other things that we could do. We talked about the personal invitations and what that could entail. And there's other ways to take family game night and be responsive. If there's maybe you could have one area be in a trivia room that is about things in the school that is going on, so that parents can get more informed if they're feeling uninformed and you're responding to the need, or something like that. But so take it through the funnel of individualized, and We're going to just you can pause it now and go do yours. Welcome back.
Time for integrated. So this I is really all about how we can connect what we're doing in the PTA to our kids' classroom and school priorities. So really, how can we connect it to the curriculum and link it to learning? So the first one is putting the T in PTA. That sounds very clever, but when you think about it, the T is the teacher, and we really want to get teachers back connected to what we're doing in the PTA. So this could be really a lot of things, but you could reach out to the different grades or the team leads or people in charge of curriculum in your school building, and you can talk to them about what are their goals for the year, how can PTA work with them and partner with them to try to support some of those goals, how we can help bring family engagement to help them enhance their the student's classroom experience. So really figuring out how to engage teachers in what you're doing. The other thing is linking it to learning. So I think we are going to need to be a little more forward thinking and get a little more information from our school on what is happening in the classrooms. So if you have teachers that come to your meetings and they can talk about what projects they're working on and what things are happening, that will really help the PTA, I think about what they're planning and how they might be able to tie it together to really support that classroom learning. And then the last one is going beyond one-time events. And so it's really important to, again, in this case, think about how you can make a lasting impression by, doing something in a series. So we're gonna, or throughout the year. So it's not a one and done type of thing. It's something that is gonna help people build relationships with their teacher in the classroom over a period of time. And so I think if you can think about different ways that you might be able to build an event into a multiple session event or somehow tie a later event back to your beginning event, that is going to be really helpful.
One of the examples that Heather shared with me before about taking it to beyond one-time events was like taking the book fair that all the schools do and then having some kind of reading competition in between the two different fairs and have awards at the second fair. And also bringing in, maybe some challenges that can be sent home to having a family book reading experience or something like that. So you're taking the book fair, which is a great service that we offer and also some fundraiser for us as PTAs. And then we're taking it to tie it back into, literacy and things like that. So taking it more than one. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to tell you what we decided to do for our family game night and how we're going to engage the families by using the I of integrated. So we decided for this one is to ask teachers to be at the stations and to bring an educational game related to their lessons. For instance, an English teacher may be able to bring some really good word games, and maybe if she's doing word masters in her class, she can bring those words and have some word games with some of those words. Maybe even some simile word games that they could play together. Or you could have the science teacher doing trivia night and have some trivia games about science or history or something like that. And so we're bringing the teachers in, we're asking them to help staff a station and lead in an educational game. And so that brings the the teacher into the event. And it also, it provides the teachers opportunities to see their students interact with their families, which can be really eye-opening and a great lesson for the teacher to see how best to work with that student. But there's other things that you could do. And so use your creativity and let's see how you're going to take your PTA initiative and utilize the integrated funnel. Go ahead and pause now and do your thing. Welcome back. All right, the next area is impact.
Yes, so this has a lot to do with making sure that someone feels better prepared to support their child so that they can make an impact in their child's experience. So this is really about building capacity of parents and caregivers to do that. So the first one is developing knowledge and skills. Okay, so we all know that, we don't know the new math, right? As Kim mentioned that as an example before. So if I'm going to help my child, I need to have a little bit of a basic understanding of what they're learning,
and why,
and why, yeah, and why. So developing knowledge and skills in family members is really important. Giving them an opportunity to practice that knowledge and those skills and to be able to interact with each other to develop that support network and connection among families is also really important. So whether that is, if you go back to the example of the academic parent-teacher team, example of a parent-teacher conference, this is really something that drives high impact because it helps families develop their knowledge and skills, and it gives them a chance to practice and interact with each other when they're doing it. And then lastly is measuring success. So in order to know if you have an impact, you need to be able to measure success in some way. So that sometimes is hard to do, but I think depending on what your example is, there might be a way to measure that success. So it could be something as simple as how many families turned out. It could also be how many people who were in this particular grade level turned out. Or it could be asking them at the end of the night, just giving them a little card with a series of smiley faces on it and asking them to circle which smiley face they liked, right? Is it the lowest level on a scale from 1 to 5? How satisfied were you with this program? Do you feel like you had an opportunity to practice and interact in this program, and letting them kind of circle it and just turn it in. So easy
assessments.
Easy assessments.
All right, we're taking our PTA initiative and we're putting it through the impact funnel. As you see with our family game night, at every station, when families rotate from station to station, before they leave, they'll be asked to enter something into a raffle. And instead of just giving them a ticket and putting that in the raffle, they will need to submit at least one thing they learned from that station. So what this does is it gives us a assessment of what people are learning as they've gone from the station to station. But we're also asking the parent to think through what they've learned and to acknowledge what they've learned so that they can sometimes we just go to these events and don't think through that, and then we don't think it was really worth our while. But if you take the time to think about what they've learned, then they can walk away feeling, hopefully, that they've gained some new knowledge and skills from this experience. But there's other things you could do as well. So use your creativity and see how you're going to take your PTA initiative and put it through the impact funnel. We're going to pause now. Welcome back. All right. So there's a lot of different ways that you can take what you're currently doing with PTA and transform your family engagement. If you're using gosh, I'm not saying this right. What I mean to say is transformative family engagement, if that is your compass to how you're going to lead your PTA, then that can really make a huge difference in our families and our kids. And so I'm just curious about your thoughts about that. And so some time for some self-reflection and think about that for a moment.
Anybody notice that the butterfly transformed itself into a butterfly?
And it's a Titan butterfly.
That's right. So very good use of your creativity there, Kim.
All right.
So we can't really, it's really hard to do all this work without this sort of informal fifth eye that was not on the funnel chart, which is influence. So I think we can't do this by ourselves. We need to think about who should be surrounding us and at the table with us when we are talking about how to be more transformative with our family engagement. And so I really just would like everybody to think about who else can you invite to the table to talk about this with you? Is it some teachers? Is it certain teachers? Are there people in, certain families that you want to try to bring into the fold that maybe haven't had a voice at the table before? Who are your allies? Who else feels strongly about this, and maybe willing to step up?
And I guess one thing to add to this is that you do have influence. And so how are you going to use that influence, and who are you going to talk to about now some of this knowledge that you've gained about family engagement and how impactful that can be for the kids in our district?
Mm-hmm.
So there is a question here in your workbook. So if you want to go ahead and pause right now and do that question, that would be great. And welcome back. Just have a quick wrap up.
So we just want to say thank you for participating in the PTA Learning Series. And we would like to let you know that there are a lot of resources available to you and ways to stay engaged with the Transformative Family Engagement movement. So you have some information on the screen there with how to reach out to family engagement at National PTA and where their website is, as well as there's an opportunity there to sign up to receive quarterly updates. The Center for Family Engagement is doing a lot of work, and they are constantly, over the next couple of years, going to be putting new information on their site. So sign up, because that's a great way to keep in touch with all of that.
We also, locally, we have the family engagement team that you can reach out to get more information, and the information is going to be included below.
We do have a Facebook page, so definitely you could follow that and follow our posts that we have on there. Additionally, we will be continuing our Parent Academy in the fall, so we'll make sure to let you know when that is. But if you're interested in that, that's a school board initiative where they take you through about 6 class sessions and teach you all about different aspects of the school district. It was really fantastic and chock full of information, and a great way to learn a lot about what our district does that you may not know.
So you can look for more information about that. And generally, we just want to say thank you for taking the time over the summer to think about how PTA and a transformative family engagement can work together to create a better school district for all of our kids. You guys give so much time to the schools, and thank you.
That's right. And reach out to us if you have any questions.
And then the last thing I'm going to say is there is one more question at the end of this one that is about what you will do over the summer or in the fall to encourage more transformative family engagement. So thank you so much. Take the time to do that, and have a great rest of your summer. Bye.